Hi, this video is a state of play of Dynamics 365 Sales Hub in 2025 after release 1. So what I wanted to do is go through here and have a look at some of the things that are new, some of the things that have been there for a long time that you may or may not know about, and just take you through the whole environment. So as we can see here recently, as has been added across most of the system, Microsoft is previewing the Copilot dashboard. They have given some demonstrations where this has got a bit more visual layout to it, but at the moment it's essentially just the prompt guide that you get on the right hand side of the screen over here, just centered in the middle. And if you come in, you can see simple things like I want to view my pipeline. It will open that up for you. You can then summarize that particular record. You can go in and ask questions of this. So if you come in and you want to look at find details, contact, actually let's not do that, find details of. If you do the / this is a very powerful part of the system. So you'll see here I've got find details of Haley Griffith. Now, I don't know if that prompt works. You also want to start to learn how to use prompts. So it's looking at going in and asking a question, and then if you want to, say, and lay it out in this particular format. And where that's come in really interesting is the fact that we can actually do some things with the Copilot sidecar that we can't do in the views that we've got here. So if I open up my opportunities, one of the other new things we've got in the system is this ability to either show as a read-only grid or show as a pipeline view, or we've got this Sales Accelerator down the side. And I'll come back to that in a moment. So if I just jump into this view here and look at all my opportunities, showed as a read-only grid. So what I want to do is come in and say estimated total revenue of all opportunities. And you'll see it can actually go and do a calculation. Now you could also narrow that down in a simple way of saying what's the estimated total revenue of all opportunities currently open for this particular team member. And if you use that / component, you can go in and select other specific details. So you'll see you can go perhaps in this territory. So that's quite an interesting thing. As we came into this record, the Copilot auto-populates some information. So it's giving me a summary of this particular opportunity, what the actual revenue, estimated close date, contact account, some key information. We can also have product insights, so what products are attached, and if we've attached any competitors to this opportunity, those can show up as well. So that's where it tries to consolidate things that may be laid out across multiple forms in your record and bring it all together in a view. If you're not getting the results you want, it's always important to use the useful or not useful to streamline your information further and check out if there are any additional bits of information that you might want in the more details. The other thing here is you can copy that. The interesting thing about copying information from somewhere is if you have to use it somewhere else, we do have something called Smart Paste, and that will allow you to take that information and paste it into another form, which we will show a little bit further down the track. I can't do it on this one because it's not an open record. So if we come back here, Sales Accelerator has been in the environment for a little while now. If you haven't got it turned on in your environment and you're wondering what it might do for you, you'll see here we've got a couple of options. So first of all, it can be connected to multiple record types. So if we come in and have a look, it can show leads or opportunities, and you'll see we've got some control over here to define how it's laid out and what information on your forms can be available for you to use. So if you see here, what we've got is the name, job title, company name, up next activity. We've also got if it's got lead scoring set up. So, and if we switch to admin mode, you'll see that becomes changeable and we can come and put other fields or even related record fields in here. So quite a powerful way to come in your morning and lay out, as it says here, your work list. And you can see I'm not working very well because I've got things that are due from 3 weeks ago and things that are due from last month. In here, you'll see we can either click on the record to open it up, but you'll see in here, if we've done that and we don't want to go into the form to do it, we can come in and mark it complete, cancel the activity, or assign it to somebody else, or mark as unopened. So you'll see it's back to being unread. With this here, you'll see we've got a couple of things. We can just go in and see all of the ones that we haven't opened yet. If we've followed them, that's what that icon with the asterisk was before. We can come in and narrow down which ones we're looking at. So if we only want to look at overdue from tomorrow on. Record type, you'll see leads and opportunities we've got in here, and activity type. So there's a lot of filtering we can do, and we can then also change how it's set up to be able to go through that list for us. Meaning that once you get used to it, you're going through your workday, it's set up, it's giving you that list. You can minimize this over here, or you can just go into your standard leads and opportunities folders to use this, but very powerful in being able to manage that work environment's layout. When you come and look at the main form, we've got a couple of things going on here. So if we have a look in the navigation, you can turn on export to PDF. If you have templates set up against that record and you've engaged the save to SharePoint option in the back end of the system, you can either download the template, send it in an email, or save to SharePoint. If you haven't turned on save to SharePoint, that'll just say save to Dynamics and save it in the document folder. When you're sending to email, you can use Copilot to help you write the text of the document. It'll look in your knowledge base if you've connected it to an external source, up to 5 different external websites, or it will also look at the related information to the record that you're sending this information to. Now we're getting in preview the ability in templates to actually embed areas for prompts to be set up so that you can personalize the templates that are used in the email to populate the information that's relevant to that contact. So there's quite a lot going on with you being able to export to PDF and then send that off through an email. And you'll see it's showing up over here as an attachment. You can also drag and drop attachments into this UI here now as well. Another option you have is the ability to collaborate in teams. So there's your option up here to connect it to a team, or you can come and use the chat option on the right hand side. And you'll see you can get the chat prompt from inside Dynamics, allowing you to communicate with other members of your team that are not Dynamics users and give them some visibility of what's going on with these records. One of the more exciting components, I believe, because it's incredibly useful and something that a number of customers have been asking for a long time, is the ability to add sequences. So what is a sequence? It is your capacity to be able to set up a series of steps, including emails, phone calls, and tasks that can be created in an order with wait periods in between it. So you'll see here we've got a new lead nurturing layout. And when we come in here, what we'll do is trigger the first step. So send an email, and we can click on that button to send that email. Once that's done, we will then have a 5-day waiting period. A reminder email can be sent, or we can be tasked with sending that reminder email, wait another 5 days, a customer call. Sequences have some interesting capacities. The sequence that you're working on in your environment is the one you see when you come into the record. Other people in your organizations can attach a different sequence and they will see the one that they're working on in the system. The details of the sequence also show up in your timeline highlights. If you haven't seen this in highlights, as long as you have enough information in your timeline history, you can click on Copilot and it will give you a summary of what's been going on in that timeline. You can now also have a full view of a record, and if there's an email in here, you can actually get visibility of what's been sent in that email in the timeline record. The other new feature that's available with the Copilot or Wave 1 update is the Form Fill Assistant. This is where you can now go and drag and drop documents in, and if you have information that's relevant to the form, it will put a blue highlight into the field here where you can accept that information. You can also use this option here, Smart Paste. If you've got something copied to your noteboard, if you click on that, that will have a look at what's on the noteboard, and you'll see I've got no text selected at the moment. Let me just select something here and delete this. So if I come in here and now look to paste that, you'll see it's put that in here as a suggested option, or the other option is you can just press Control V, and that will also allow you to put that information in. If you haven't got the document to drag and drop, or you haven't got something copied to your notebook, you do have the option to click on the source upload, and it will open up your File Explorer, allowing you to select a document that you can try and pull information in from. You'll see that was an empty source. If you don't want that visible, you can just hide that and it won't show up on your form. Just jumping into a different record, you can see we've got another thing going on here, which is if you have a task that's scheduled for the future or coming up, it will show you an up next at the top of the form so that you have that visibility of what is the thing you've scheduled next. In a lot of timelines, you could have quite a lot of tasks that might be before your next one that's due, and this gives you the visibility to be able to go in and action it or complete it without necessarily having to go all the way in to scroll down the timeline to find what's next. Microsoft are also across the platforms embedding Power BI reports that you can come in and get some quick views of what's going on in your information. This environment has very little going on. As you can see here, the sales usage reports allow you to look at opportunities, leads, accounts, and contacts. We're also able to do significant filtering, allowing you to quickly get some visibility if you're doing a management role of what's going on across your team, if you're an individual, what's going on with your own environment. We've still got the standard functionality around quotes, orders, invoices. If you haven't been using forecasts, that is available in your environment. You'll see here, this is how a forecast works. We can set it up, and you'll see here I've set it up for the individual user. We can add a quota. We can see what's forecast, what's won, what's committed, the best case scenario, the gapped quotas, and the pipeline coverage. So this is a very standard sales engagement. If we want to come in and drill down and see those records in that report, you'll see I've chosen account here, and when I do the drop down, it's going to show me which records are actually the ones that are making up my totals for that. If you come in here, you can have a range of forecasts. We also, inside the settings area, have a place where we can go and make additional forecasts. In here, as you can see, we have a number of different pre-consolidated types that we can use, or you can create one from scratch. And there's a whole wizard for you to go through and be able to make your selections to see how you want to manage your forecast. As we're in the back-end settings, there are a few things that you can't just see from that front page. When you go through lead qualification, there is a new experience. You can turn it on so that when you qualify a lead, it will automatically select what record types. So this is where you are saying it will automatically create it, or your team member needs to choose if they want to have that activate. And when you're closing an opportunity, you can also add custom fields to that form. If you saw before when I showed the opportunity pipeline, we've got a whole area to configure that to see whether you want to have the business process flow show up on the right hand side or extended with. So if we just jump out and jump into our opportunities, you'll see here we have our standard view from the past, and we also now have the bubble pipeline, or we can have a sales funnel. You can go and set up other configurations. In here, you can come in and edit the metrics. So you'll see we've got some metrics up the top here. You can go and add additional ones based on some filtering. And down the bottom here, if you go and click on a record, you'll see it opens on the right hand side. If we go back to the deal tracker, you can click on the bubble and it will open it up over there. And as we showed you before, you do have the capacity to turn on additional functionality on that view. But this is the main form you go out to in the core dynamics area. So I'm just going to turn those off. And it does allow you to open up that record from inside the form. So as you can see, there's been a number of changes in here. So as we come in here and have a look at another lead that I've set up earlier, you'll see what we've got is a sales qualification agent. And this is actually decided and recommended that we shouldn't engage with this lead. And if we click here, we'll learn why. And as we click on that, this is a Copilot created page. And you'll see it's given some key insights, not worth engaging. Maybe not best to pursue this lead. We've got some visibility of all the connections, and if there was additional information around other contacts, accounts that they're connected to, additional details, that can all be populated on this page by Copilot. Now, you may be wondering why it's indicated that I shouldn't go and engage with this lead. And if we come through and do the configuration here, you'll see agents are currently in preview. And if I open the settings, I've come through previously and filled in some additional information. So who in the team can access it, our company info. By putting in our website, it goes and gives some additional information to the system to be able to figure that out. What we're selling, how often it wants to refresh that lead recommendation. And then we can come in here in qualification and put in additional components around how we're going to qualify that lead. Now, these are the out of the box ones, but you can also come in and add some additional components. And you'll see if we come in and add that, it will ask us which field we want to use to be able to qualify. And then we can put some additional terms around this. And we can add that. And all of those things will be given a score, you'll see here. And as we add up those scores, that can then determine whether that lead is something the system will recommend us to pursue or not, allowing us to get that good qualification view of what's going on with our leads and which ones are useful for us to be able to follow. There are some additional components that we can put on these forms that we can switch on. So you'll see here when we're managing activities, we can have a quick button to take us to the creation of phone calls, appointments, and tasks. And we can have a button to connect to the sequence rather than having it up the top here. So I'll just add that lead nurturing sequence. You'll see when we come in here, it gives us guidance. If we have more than one, we'll be able to see that visual outline of what's going on here. One of the things when we're setting those up in the process is the sequences have a designer, very similar if you're using the Customer Insights marketing tool, that gives you a layout of how you can edit your sequences to have exit criteria. You'll see as I open this, we have a number of branching steps that happen during this process, giving you a real level of complexity that allows you to manage your relationships with your leads very effectively. So from this point of view, that's my heads up around what's going on with the sales site. We could drill into a lot deeper information around what can happen with Copilot and our ability to connect that to Copilot Studio, allowing us not only to create custom prompts when we have specific things we want our team members to be able to access when they click on this view prompts, but we can also extend Copilot to pull information from external systems. So say you have an ERP with all your finance details in and you want to be able to question against a record what's going on with their finances, that can come through here. Perhaps you have a customer support system that's not Dynamics. You can also connect that to be able to question and bring information back into the system. If you're looking at managing Salesforce automation, Dynamics is a very powerful tool. It's also very flexible to be able to build on, customize, and add real specifics around how your organization works. I have scratched the surface and not dived in incredibly deeply to some of the areas around how we can manage price lists, but what I wanted to do was give you a view of the state of play of where we're at the current moment in time with the Sales Hub. So hopefully that's been helpful. Keep an eye out for ones in the other first-party apps, and then maybe some of the Power Platform and what can be done there.